Hi everybody, this is Intuitive Edge. Welcome once again to my channel. This is me coming to you from Orcas Island, Washington State. I am at one of the harbors overlooking the water. And I wanted to take you on a field trip with me for a little bit of noticing. I found something yesterday that I thought was really interesting, so let's go take a look. As I started down this nature trail, the first thing I notice is that blackberries are plentiful this time of year. More blackberries. I want to make my way down to the beach because there's a very peculiar tree that I saw yesterday, and I want to show it to you. I feel like there's a really special message that this tree has to offer. As I make my way down toward the water, I notice a large outcropping of rock on the beach, as well as a nice little bench that someone carved. My first clue of this tree's presence is some red, paperish type of tree bark that I found. I found out that this peculiar red tree with green leaves and curled branches is something called a Pacific madrone. It has broad, glossy leaves and clusters of berries, and the cinnamon-colored bark peels off in sheets of paper, leaving a glowing red trunk visible beneath. I learned that this tree is actually not a deciduous tree despite its leafy appearance. It is in fact a broad-leafed evergreen. This tree sheds its protective layers, remaining green throughout the winter, and continues living in an exposed place at the meeting of land and sea. As I contemplated this tree in noticing detail, this tree remains green and alive through the process of releasing its bark. And yet, this transformation goes on without the tree losing its essence. This tree is such a stark contrast to other conifers and evergreens on this island. The madrone, with its smooth, exposed bark, seems bare in contrast. A word that came to me is vulnerability. Vulnerability is the willingness to release what once protected you when transformation asks you to become more fully visible There are times when transformation asks us to release our protective layers and trust what is revealed beneath. Vulnerability leads to release, and then to exposure, and then to endurance, and then renewal. I notice how this mighty tree sits looking over the water between land and sea. And I'm left with the question, what might be being asked to be released that feels vulnerable and exposed? And yet the lesson of this tree is that it endures, perhaps because it's vulnerable. As I make my way back up this trail, I wonder what other things I might notice. Just ahead, I almost missed something on the right. Coming across this apple tree was really something interesting. I don't normally expect to see a fruit tree over by saltwater and oceans. But apparently the first settlers in this area in the late 1800s did plant orchards, and they say that there are a lot of old trees that still remain bearing fruit. They still bear fruit to this day, even though they are not maintained. Nature has a way of maintaining itself, I'd say. So I've come to the end of my journey. It's time for me to head back. Thank you for coming on this nature walk with me. What did you think of that Pacific Madrone? What a fascinating tree. It doesn't really seem to fit in what I've ever seen in Washington State. It looks like something that should be more in a tropical area than here. One last look at a few of these
wonderful evergreens. Reminding me how much there is to be thankful for. All right, everybody, thank you for this time of noticing with me. I will catch you in the next video. These are especially good in the summer. Bye for now.